Our team coverage begins now with 17's Kiyoshi Tomono.
Protesters poured onto the streets of San Francisco, both sides rallying around an issue that has polarized the state and Kern County.
They want us to say what they're doing is right, and I think it's wrong.
By a 6-to-1 vote, the state's high court upheld the state's gay marriage ban while leaving intact about 18,000 gay marriages officiated before the ban became law.
Doesn't make sense to have two different sets of laws for two different sets of people. And that's exactly what the United States government does to almost everybody.
What's the point of us voting if it's just going to be overturned by one person in a court? It gives me goosebumps and makes me sick.
Prop 8 supporters say gay marriage advocates were treading on moral territory.
I believe marriage is between a man and a woman. Simple as that.
Supporters of the proposition included many religious organizations. Monsignor Ronald Sweat commented on the Catholic Church's perspective.
Those who would persecute or show tremendous prejudice should not be approved of. But on the other hand, just to say, well, whatever goes, because one is gay, is something that I think I and my Catholic tradition would have some difficulty with.
For religious institutions like the Catholic Church, gay marriage creates quite the dilemma. They're trying to integrate gays and lesbians while at the same time holding on to their traditional morals and values.
How do we deal with gays? How do we involve them in recognizing that there are fundamental values that are to be preserved?
But the court's ruling may not be the final word. Gay rights activists say they may ask voters to repeal the marriage ban next year. Opponents of same-sex marriage plan to continue their fight as well. In Southwest Bakersfield, Kiyoshi Tomono, 17 News.
Reaction from gay rights activists was swift this morning. There was a collective outcry from gays and lesbians waiting outside the state Supreme Court. And tonight, opponents of Prop 8 are rallying up and down the state. 17's Alex Valle is live at a local protest with that side of the story. Alex?
Tammy, their passion and their anger is spilling out onto the streets of Kern County. We're in Southwest Bakersfield, and this protest starts in about 30 minutes. But people already out here say their fight is far from over.
We've been living together. We have shared finances. Everything that we do is just like any other married couple. Only difference is we both happen to be male.
Sean Nagel and his partner tied the knot November 2nd, 2008.
Me and my husband now have been together at that time. It was coming up on our 11-year anniversary.
It was also 2 days before Californians went to the polls and approved Proposition 8, which amended the state's constitution to ban gay marriage. The state Supreme Court upheld that voter-approved ban today, but also decided gay couples who wed before Election Day, like Sean and Jeff, are still married.
It even hit me this morning before the announcement on that of, oh my God, I could not be married later today. And I've spent over about 11 and a half years now with this man. I love him. He loves me. That is what I've always believed and actually was raised to believe that was what marriage was about.
I pronounce you married. In June of last year, 24 gay couples rushed to the county building for their first chance to say I do. But today, gay couples in Kern say the ruling is a disappointment. As for Sean Nagel, he was flooded with emails and phone calls after the court's ruling. But he says it's an ad by a group called Courage Campaign that explains exactly how he's feeling. It reads, what if we could vote to pay you less because of your gender, or deny you medical care because of your age, or stop you from marrying the person you love?
There's absolutely nothing about my relationship that should hurt any other couple's relationship, whether they're gay or straight. It really doesn't matter. Our marriage is between the two of us.
And coming up on 17 News at 6, we'll hear from one of the protesters out here in a live interview. Reporting live, I'm Alex Valle, 17 News.
All right, Alex, thank you. And in studio with us tonight, Bakersfield businessman Ken Metler, who has been an ardent supporter of Proposition 8. Good evening, Mr. Metler.
Oh, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Metler. This indeed has been a polarizing issue. On the one hand, gays and lesbians are demanding equal rights under the law, but on the other, you have heterosexuals and people of faith saying same-sex marriage is an affront to the moral values our country was founded upon. Do you see any way that Californians will find common ground on this issue?
Well, I think Californians already have. We have been very generous in this state as far as extending certain benefits to folks in this class that they're in. And so right now, civilly, they can already do powers of attorney. A lot of the grievances that you hear mentioned actually have already been resolved in civil code already. So I think this is more about tearing down an institution that is one of the building blocks of our society, more than it is the actual fundamentals of finances and things like that.
Well, by upholding the 18,000 same-sex couples who got married before this law took effect, it appears that the High Court was making at least one concession to Prop 8 opponents. What's your feeling on that?
Well, I think, yes, it appears that's what the court was doing. However, I will say this. The bigger issue here is activist courts. They are legislating for the bench rather than doing the proper role of the courts. And what they did by doing that, they actually ignored some of the key language in Prop 8 in coming with that convoluted decision on the 18,000 homosexual marriages that will remain recognized. Because the proposition specifically says marriage between one man and one woman is marriage, no matter when it was performed. So obviously our court doesn't understand what the words is and when mean.
Mr. Metler, let me ask you, you've heard gay rights activists say they vow to continue the fight. Do you think we're going to be having the same discussion during the election in 2010?
It's very possible. However, it's you know, the people have spoken here. They've spoken twice. They've gone and voted. Specifically here in Kern County, 75% of the voters voted for Proposition 8 to protect marriage between one man and one woman. And they voted. And they also did a constitutional amendment. That's a very high threshold. And to counteract that, the opposition would need to do a constitutional amendment. I think the voters have dealt with this twice. They've spoken. It's time to respect the will of the people. And that should be the final word, not activist judges.
Proposition 8 supporter Ken Metler, we want to thank you for coming in and spending some time with us tonight, sir.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Well, needless to say, not everyone is happy with today's decision. Tonight, dozens of gay rights supporters are rallying in southwest Bakersfield to protest the ruling upholding Prop 8. That's where we find 17's Alex Valle with more on that side of the story. Alex?
Tammy, supporters of gay marriage brought their passion and their disappointment to the streets today. People out here are holding signs that read "Love always wins" and "Civil rights for everyone." There are at least 50 people out here, and I'm now joined live with Carrie. Carrie, why did you feel it was so important to protest today?
I'm here because of civil rights. I believe in the Human Rights Charter that was ratified after World War II that says marriage is a basic human right for everyone, and it does not mention religion, race, or gender. I'm going to stand up because someone has to.
And what was your reaction to the ruling today?
Incredibly disappointed, of course, and really frightened that a handful of voters can vote to take away civil rights from a group of people.
Okay, now, supporters of Prop 8 say that Prop 8 was very clear. The language is marriage is between a man and a woman. What's your reaction to that?
My reaction is, of course, that that's wrong. Marriage is a human right. Marriage is between two people who love each other. It's between two people who want to commit their lives to each other. It's not meant to be, it is religious for a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be. It's legal, it's civil, it's commitment.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for being with us. And this protest continues for at least the next hour tonight. Reporting live, I'm Alex Valle, 17 News.